Greetings, beautiful viewers, this is Smitten. It's time for another Meta Buster build. This is a series that starts off on stream where I break down the intricacies of a god's kit and look at things like cooldowns, mana cost to ability ratio, types of CC, playstyles, base stats, and all things that revolving around the role that I'm trying to build for. When I pick a god for a build session, it's because I have an idea of something I would like to do or use them for. I would really love for you guys to pick this build up in a game and let me know how you do. This episode, we're diving into the off-meta picks for mid and busting the meta for Isis. Your typical meta Isis builds are usually based on pure damage, and that's just fine and dandy because she packs a lot of punch, but for my purposes, I enjoy playing Isis more as a utility mage, and so my meta Buster build reflects that. Let's dive in! Starting with starters, once you load into the game, you're going to pick up Soulstone, tier 1 of Dynasty Plate Helm, 1 mana and 1 health pot, and then get your winged booty to lane. Originally, I toiled over the starter item choice and was trying to decide between Vamp Shroud or Soulstone. Vamp Shroud is a perfectly viable choice for Isis, but ultimately I decided that with Isis's unique hit chain, she could stack Soulstone faster than most mages, and the immediate return of mana was better all around. Now understand that rushing Dynasty Plate Helm is relatively meta for mid-mages, but it's hard to deny yourself the early triple P Holy Trinity: Power, Protections, and Penetration. Since this item only costs 1700 gold, you should be able to complete it by the 5-minute mark, giving you 45 magical power, 30 physical protections, and 15 pen. After you finish DPH, it's time to move on to CDR boots. 1500 gold lands you 40 magical power, 250 mana, plus 10% CDR. I chose CDR boots over pin boots for 2 reasons. First off, Isis has static cooldowns on all of her abilities, and static cooldowns means that the cooldown for the ability doesn't scale based on how many points you have into it. The second reason is that we've already put a bit of early pin in this build. This allows you more choices as far as the next couple of items go. For your third item, you'll be saving to spend a whopping 2700 gold on Ethereal Staff. E-Staff receives an interesting change this season and is a great option for utility mages. In the first rendition of the Isis Meta Buster build, I tried to put Warlock Sash here, but after testing it several times in-game, I found that trying to farm the stacks was not only stressful, but would put me behind as far as power spikes are concerned. Spending the 2700 on E-Staff grants you 90 magical power, 200 HP, 20% crowd control reduction, and your abilities deal bonus damage every 10 seconds for 5% of the target's max health. In a meta full of Thoths and Scyllas, Isis is relatively easy to dive on, so the health and CCR from this item can really help your survivability, while having the 90 power spike up front without having to worry about stacks is fantastic for mid-game. The next item I will leave up to your individual choice. Depending on how the game is going at this point, I'm either going to pick up Pythagorem's piece or Banecroft's Talon. Pythags is a great choice if you're relatively ahead and want to help your teammates that are having a harder time than you. For 2300 gold, you get 40 magical power, 200 mana, some lifesteal, 10% CDR, and an aura that gives physical teammates 20 power and 10% lifesteal, and gives your magical teammates 30 power and 12% lifesteal. This item actually gives you 70 power due to the aura, which is a decent amount at a fairly inexpensive price. Banecroft is also a lovely choice for Isis. This synergizes well with her playstyle because of her ultimate. But first I'll give you the stats. For the same price as Pythags, you receive a base 100 magical power and 20% lifesteal, with a passive that gives you additional power and lifesteal that is scaled from missing health. The passive caps out at 100 additional power when you're at a quarter of your health. Now think about it. When are you going to be using an Isis ult? You'll pop that sucker when you're trying to secure a kill, trying to secure an objective, or when you're low on health in the middle of a gank or team fight. Banecroft is a fantastic option for that last scenario, as it gives you a seriously scary power spike when the enemy least expects it. So the choice boils down to this: are you ahead and want to help your team? Pythags. Are you finding yourself getting dove on a lot and can't seem to stay alive? Banecroft is the choice for you then. By the time that you have the funds to complete either Pythags or Banecroft, it will be well into late mid-game or early late game, which means it's time to put a penetration item into the build. It's usually best to start building some sort of penetration item on mages around the 13 to 17 minute mark because you want to be ready for the tanks who are going to be building protections against you. Since we already had a flat pin item as a rush first item and an ability in Isis's kit that allows you to steal protections, we're going to slip in Spear the Magus here. Spear the Magus is a wonderful choice for mages that have tick, channeled, or damage over time. Each slap of Wing Gust builds up Magus's passive, which reduces the magical protections of your enemy by 10 for 5 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. You're buying Magus purely for the passive, but the base stats are pretty nice too. For 2150 gold, you get 50 power and 15 pen. With your pin item out of the way, we can sell our starter item and move on to Chronos Pendant. I I wanted full CDR in this build, and with the recent buff to Chronos Pendant, it's better than ever. For 2900 gold, you get 80 power, 25 MP5, and 20% CDR with a passive that gives you an additional 10% CDR that still applies even if you're already at the 40% CDR cap. However, if you're having a hard time withstanding bursts from the enemy mages or find that you aren't doing as much damage as you hoped, you can opt out for Voidstone. Voidstone is a 2200 gold item that provides 40 power and 70 magical protections with an aura passive that reduces enemy magical protections by 20. If the game is still raging on, you can at this point sell Dynasty Plate Helm for the heavy-hitting Rod of Tahuti. For 3300 gold, you get 125 magical power, 30 MP5, and a passive that increases your magical power by 25%. This is the cherry on top of every mage's late game build, and the same can be said for Isis. And that completes the Isis Meta Buster build. Give the build a try in game and come back here to declare your love or seething hatred for it in the comments. If you find yourself smitten for Smitten and you want more of my content, you can hit the subscribe, follow me on my social media, hang out in my community Discord, or come participate in the next build session on stream. As always, thank you for watching, much love and luck in your future matches. I'm Smitten, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.